I decided to revisit The Dustbin Baby because it's one of Jacqueline Wilson's books that I remember really liking, but I hadn't read it in quite a long time. And it's a lot darker than I remember it being. I'm coming from a different perspective with this one now, having revisited it, because I've, since reading this, of course, read maybe 40 or 50 memoirs written by foster carers. So when somebody fictionalizes a child in the care system, which obviously we have seen Jacqueline Wilson do with Tracy Beaker, here we have her doing it with April, I'm always interested to see the interpretation, and certainly when it's aimed at children. I think it gives quite a realistic look at the care system and the constant moving around, but it does make it quite dark. So I'm not going to give any spoilers about this, but I will say I recommend it, but it is darker than I remember. Obviously, it didn't emotionally scar me. I did enjoy reading it. I guess it's pretty safe to read, even though it's quite dark. This was originally published in 2001, which is, I think, roughly when I would have read it. I started reading Jacqueline Wilson when I was about 7 or 8, in about 1999-2000. So sometime around then, at that age, target audience, I really remember liking it a lot and being able to understand it. So the language, although it doesn't speak down to children, it is relatively easy and not too challenging. I think it's more the subject matter. Basically, it's about this character called April. And she's 14 years old, and at the beginning of the book, she has an argument with her foster mother, and that leads her on this journey to discovering who she was and where she came from. And where she came from is a dustbin, believe it or not. April was abandoned in a dustbin behind a pizza restaurant when she was newborn, when her mother gave birth to her, and then dumped her in a dustbin, which straight away, a topic for young children, is pretty dark. But I feel like Jacqueline Wilson handles the topic sensitively, and then April continues to, well, she tells us her story, but she does so by revisiting locations that are hallmarks of part of her past. And, you know, she looks at I don't want to give too much away, but she goes to the house of maybe her first foster parent, an adoptive family, problems that went wrong there, and she kind of almost talks us through these things by revisiting these places, and it's kind of like therapy for her, and it's really quite an enjoyable read in that aspect. We really do get to know April as a character, and I find that if there is a young reader going through issues and trying to look at what their past was or what their life was like, whether they're adopted or they're just having, you know, issues or they've moved around a lot, this kind of therapy of going over your past and identifying aspects that may have caused problems is really, really a beneficial thing to do. For most people, at least. I'm sure there are some people who would be hindered by that. And I found that it tackled that aspect of it really well. So although on visiting it as an adult now, with a different perspective and a greater understanding of the care system, I feel like, although it's dark, it's very well written, it's sensitively written, but it doesn't sugarcoat things too much. You know, it's gritty enough that children going through similar problems or just questioning their own identity are going to be able to grasp April's emotions and her actions even. And as always with Jacqueline Wilson's writing, she just hit the nail on the head. There are very few novels by Jacqueline Wilson where I feel like she doesn't get the tone right. This one is really brilliant. It's not one of her most popular ones. You know, I do watch YouTube videos of people doing their Jacqueline Wilson book collections or book hauls or book reviews. This one doesn't come up that often. But it has actually been adapted into a film in, I believe, 2008. I haven't seen it. I don't think I want to watch it because I quite enjoy the book and my own interpretation. But I have heard some good things about it. So if you've seen the film, I'm wondering if you should watch the book, read the book. Yeah, absolutely. Dustbin Baby, although it's not in my top 10 Jacqueline Wilson books, I do definitely like it.